Arreglo Radio is a platform where young professionals share their stories of ups and downs, lessons learned, and professional expertise, giving you an insight into their lives. So join us as we sit down with some incredibly talented people right here on Arreglo Radio.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to episode 7 of Arreglo Radio. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but we've been doing this for a while and I get confused. So, sitting across from me today is Taylene Clunis. I really hope that I pronounced that right.
You did, you did wonderful.
Because I read it and I was like low-key confused. I'm like, I really don't want to butcher this poor person's name because it just won't be a good look at all. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you about?
I am who I am, and that's all that I am.
That is
So my name is Taylene, obviously, and who am I? That's a great question, I guess, for anyone. I don't know. I'm me. I do a whole bunch of things. I come from a very interesting background, and I love what I do with people. I'm a coach. I do business mentorship and I do social media mentorship. And I also work at, different nightclubs in the city, and I also work at a medical clinic. I know, it's crazy. And
You just keep pulling it out, don't you?
I know, it's like I want to diversify as much as possible so that I can be the true jack of all trades, and we'll just see what happens. Like, it's going to be a surgeon next week, we don't know.
You literally sound like a venture capitalist. I'm like, where's your money? Everywhere.
Pretty much.
Okay, alright. So we were just briefly chatting before we started filming. And you mentioned that you're not from Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you originally from and how did you find yourself here?
Well, I'm originally from Winnipeg. So
cold.
It's stupid. It's stupid cold. It's not a place where I wanted to be in the winters. Like, minus 55 is not a joke.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, minus 55, minus 60. We hit that for 3 weeks in the winter. Yeah,
Celsius, right?
Yeah, Celsius. Yeah. And so we watch the news in the morning, and it's like, make sure you don't go outside and expose yourself for longer than 2 minutes for hypothermia, frostbite. We just go about our day.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so I'm from the tropics. So this is wild to me, where I'm hearing that there are literal news announcements first thing in the morning that say don't be outside for more than 2 minutes, otherwise you're gonna lose your left big toe.
Yeah. Our cars are all built with plug-ins because you have to plug in your car when you're at work, because if not, the battery will freeze over and you won't be able to start your car and you'll be stuck. So
okay.
On the colder days, there's you run outside and from work, there's some people have smoke breaks or whatever else. Why people smoke in the prairies, I have no idea, because it just seems ludicrous to me that you would smoke in the winter outside and be in that. But yeah, we go outside, start our cars for 5 minutes, let it run, and then run back inside. My dad had the same thing. My dad's from Jamaica, and he had the same disconnect where he didn't understand.
Yeah, why would you willingly live there?
Because it's cheap. When you can still get a house for $90K.
Excuse me, what now?
Yeah.
Wait. Whoa. Let's just run that all the way back.
Yeah.
$90,000.
Yeah, you can still get some places $90,000. I could have bought a church a couple of years back for $120K.
But that must be in the sticks, though, right?
Not really. It's maybe 45 minutes outside the city perimeter, and it's a huge church that's been remodeled for a home. You can buy $120K, and it sits on a couple acres.
Look,
and then you look and you have a rental space here for what? 3-4K a month, and you'd pay less than that, 75% less than that. That's how people live there.
Yeah, but it's Winnipeg though.
Man, the best cultural the best cultural variety ever.
Really?
Celebrated all the time. Everybody gets to celebrate their culture. Everybody gets to do different things. Your friend group looks like you just rolled in with the UN. Winnipeg is honestly the hub and capital for cultural diversity, celebrated cultural diversity.
That's fascinating, because normally when I talk to people about diverse cities in Canada, people are quick to quote Toronto. Yeah. Because I guess it's the biggest city, it's the most popular city, so obviously you're going to have a melting pot of people from different places, languages, cultures, and all that. But Winnipeg, I would have never expected that.
Yeah, Winnipeg. And like every summer they have this, like not to like droll on about Winnipeg, because like for me, I couldn't wait to get out of there. But I really appreciate it now that I'm older.
Yeah.
And I've lived in so many different places. Like I've lived in New Zealand and Fiji and all over the place. And, and yeah, like Bree Stenson, Edmonton, Calgary, and now Vancouver, and then Toronto later. Like I've lived in a lot of places, and I honestly can tell you that if you go to Winnipeg with someone you know, you will have the best experience of your life. Like they have like Latin street block parties where they block off like 5 blocks downtown and everyone's like walking around, and like they have Caribbean Fest where there's like reggae playing and reggaeton and Latin music and salsa, bachata, like it's a whole thing. And like then they have like Arts Fest and Music Fest, and like everything gets shut down for the arts. Like Winnipeg is a very arts city. In the early 1900s, it was LA. You could not make it anywhere if you couldn't make it in Winnipeg. That's where Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx met. That's how they made their combination duo in Winnipeg. The entire city is structured for the arts, the theaters, the everything else. Like you would have no idea that that's there.
Wait, okay, so okay,
Now they should freaking pay me for this, because like I'm like hyping it up, like.
Tourism Manitoba.
Right?
Come on. Send the check.
Right?
No, but genuinely, like, okay, so here's the thing. So, as someone that landed in Canada in 2011, right, for uni, the only thing that I know about Winnipeg, I know maybe 4 or 5 things about Winnipeg. One, they've got a lot of African international students there.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold as cold can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot as hot can be.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they spray the city every summer to like help combat mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's
That's
changed
a
a little
thing.
bit, but yeah.
And the last thing is that like, it's just there's just nothing going on. At least like that's what I heard.
Right.
Like I've never been to Winnipeg, but like I've got friends that live out in Winnipeg, and I've looked at flights. I'm like, flights are really dirt cheap still.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I at no point would I've ever thought that like, Winnipeg was an arts hub, because again, like normally when I talk to people here that are from here, they go like, oh, arts hubs, Toronto, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's
that's
not.
it.
It's diverse, and it's like it's culinarily diverse. Like we have, I think it's something like the most food places per capita, like different things like that. It's like it's really diverse there.
Damn.
Yeah, and like people wouldn't know because the city itself, it's not shiny and new like Calgary or Vancouver or something else, right? Like it's an old city.
Like it's got those deep
It's
roots,
yeah, it's like 100-year-old buildings that are preserved and like all over the place, and like historical maps everywhere you go, and like. But honestly, for me, I feel blessed to have grown up there because, you know, every year we have something called Folklorama.
Okay.
And for 2 weeks, you go to your like safe, or you go to your 7-Eleven, and you grab like a passport, and you can go around, and every culture in the city, every cultural group in the city, puts on a performance of art, history, and dance and food.
Wow.
And they have these community centers, and they all go and display it. And you can go and you get your passport stamped by that country, and you can go in and get like cultural dishes. You learn about their history. You can go see some like prevalent artworks from that country, and then you can go and watch perform like cultural dances, hear the music, feel the vibes. And then at the end of that week of Folklorama, they'll have like different parties. So Brazil will have a party, Cuba will have a party,
Jeez.
Jamaica will have a party. You know, the Philippines will have a party. Like, but it's all their cultural type of party. So as you can probably tell, Cuba goes off, Jamaica goes off,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Guyana goes off. Like, you know, Brazil is like crazy. It's like carnival style. So you like walk into this like community center, and it's samba, and there's like feathers, and there's like umbrella, and it's like crazy. And so you go, and that's celebrated all the time. So you have all the ethnic groups in that city be able to display the beauty of their culture.
That is wild, because I never would have guessed.
I know.
Okay, so
So that's Winnipeg for you.
I really feel like I was just sitting in like a Canadian history lecture, like, yo, fam, you know nothing. You know nothing still. Okay, all right. So I'm shook.
So that's where I'm from. That's where I'm from, and that has brought me to who I am kind of now, where I'm very accepting and open and want to learn about people, and
Right.
I don't judge people initially. Like I want to understand the way they tick, their culture, like what brings that, because that develops everybody, right? So yeah.
So, moving from Winnipeg, like you mentioned that you bounced around the world for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, of all the countries that you visited or lived in, I guess, which one like resonated with you the most?
I don't know if I say resonated, because I feel like every country I kind of just got closer to what I kind of predetermined already, which was that universally everybody wants to be loved, seen, and heard. And so I just realized if you can go to any culture and any like country, you have to just realize what they're like, what they find funny, connect, and everybody's pretty much the same wherever you go. So I don't know if any one thing resonated with me. I would say that I would probably move back to New Zealand, but it's been a couple of years.
So the land of the hobbits.
Yeah, I actually lived in Hobbiton. I lived in Matamata, which is where it was filmed. Yeah, I lived in the Shire.
I feel like I've lived a boring life right now. Like, I know you're not judging me.
I'm not.
But I feel like I'm being judged, because it's like,
why?
Low key, like, it's definitely me just like projecting shit. But all I'm saying is that right now, I generally feel you're sitting across from me going like, cultured heathen.
No, definitely
Travel
not.
the world.
Definitely not. No, I haven't traveled in a long time. I'm basic. Now. You can just put a pumpkin spice latte next to me. I'm pretty much good to go.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that. So, you mentioned that you are kind of like a life coach kind of thing?
I wouldn't necessarily say life coach, but I deal more in the terms of business coaching. So, in terms of helping people that come from a corporate background to know how to understand an entrepreneurial fund, because sometimes people think it's like, oh, I've been in corporate for years and know exactly how this works.
Right.
It's very different when you come from corporate, where everything's pretty much set up for you, to like going in and trying to understand like your why, trying to understand your mindset, trying to get past your own mental blocks, your own imposter syndrome, your own just skills that you need to develop to be an entrepreneur. Because it's different. It's different coming in, clocking in, and then being able to clock out. At the end, as an entrepreneur, you're always in it. Like you're always thinking about it. You're always having to think of new ways to like do things and evolve your business and pivot and like look for other businesses, right? Because if your goal is that you want to be successful, right, and you want to have a steady like income and like have like a really good financial stability, you do need to diversify like where your income streams are coming from.
Right.
So as an entrepreneur, you're then thinking not only about your current projects, but ones that could be profitable in the future. Exactly. So you're never off. And I think that's like a really crazy thing for people who come from corporate, and they need to understand the foundation and like the building blocks and the tiers of how to make their business work so that they don't bottleneck.
So is that the biggest difference then, like between a corporate mindset and like a startup mindset?
I don't know if it's like the biggest difference, but it's definitely one that I've noticed in different clients that I've had, where they're like, well, I know how to do payroll, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. But it's those interpersonal relationships that they need to build. It's understanding the projections of those certain things, because you could be a CEO somewhere and have a topical view of those things, but you are never going to be really diverse, like deep dive into that, into different departments, enough to know it in and out. And as an entrepreneur, you kind of have to know a little bit about all of it, and then outsource the stuff that you're maybe not as strong on.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Interesting. So how did you find yourself like in this place? Like did you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm gonna help like people that are very corporate minded understand what it's like to run a small business, or was it something that you just fell into?
No, it was kind of odd. So I kind of always saw entrepreneurship. So my mom, actually, she had a clothing business, and she designed and sewed all of her clothes. She had that entrepreneurial kind of mindset as well in terms of fashion design. And when I was younger, when I was 16, she put me into an entrepreneurship group with a business school over the summer. It was a summer program, and I ended up winning it. And I got scholarships from it, and I got money, and I came up with like a really good business idea. And it was awesome. We got to keep the profits from our business idea, which was great. And that kind of was like the first like ping, like this, I like doing this. Whatever this is, I like doing it. And so seeing my mom and then kind of, it was kind of like one of those things I kind of got just fed up. And I was like, I'm done. So I'd always kind of been in business, always been in management, always helping somebody else make money.
Yeah.
But I wasn't making the kind of money, and I didn't have the freedom that I wanted to have, and what I desired. Like I was good at sales, didn't like doing it. Right? Like I was a telemarketer. I sold cars. I know, right? I sold used cars. I sold used cars over the phone. Like seriously, I did everything. Like I when I worked for, bigger brand names, I don't know, can we say brands? What do we work for here?
Yes.
Okay, so I worked for Guess and Marciano. Then I was like the top salesperson there every single month, selling like 20K, 30K a month for them. But I was only making $8.25 an hour, and I didn't understand why we couldn't be on a commission structure in where I got 5% of the sales that I made, because I'm making them like a ridiculous amount of money, but I was only getting paid $8.25 an hour. And it just, like, it didn't sit right with me, and I was like, this is stupid. But I liked the people, and I was like, well, I guess this is what work is. And then I went to a marketing company. Like, I was a regional manager for a marketing and PR company. We did niche marketing for, like, super large name brands. And I'm making them lots of money. But there was no, like, what I thought was fair compensation for running 2 provinces. And then, going forward, there was just never for me all the hard work and effort that I would put in. The only person I would profit was the person at the top.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'm like, man, if I'm making like
all this money.
if I'm making this person upwards of like 500, just one person making like 500K a year,
you deserve a
or more. Exactly. I shouldn't be getting paid like $15 an hour. Do you know what I mean? So after that, I kind of started to notice like different patterns. And then when I moved here, because I wanted to go to school and I had this business idea, and so, I went to Calgary, I lived there, and I just thought, I'm like, man, like, there has to be something more to this. Like, I want to help people on a very niched scale. Like, I'm not satisfied with helping the big guy. I want to help the little guy. Yeah. And I remember always kind of getting in trouble for going the extra mile for customers.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well, why did you do that? I'm like, because that's what they needed. They didn't need this. They needed this. And because they needed this, they're going to come by and buy double this because I helped them out in that area. And I would always get in trouble for that, for seeing that need ahead of time.
That's odd.
And planning for it. Yeah.
I mean, one would expect companies to reward behavior like that, right?
But it doesn't increase sales in that moment. It's a long-term game plan. Right? That doesn't necessarily, it builds the trust of the consumer, but it doesn't yield immediate sales.
Yeah, that seems oddly short-sighted.
But for larger companies, like larger telecom companies that I worked for, they wanted you to, maybe sell, instead of just having internet, they wanted you to sell internet, TV, and phone. Well, what if that person doesn't need phone? Then you sell them a higher, like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't see that selling them a higher internet price would build yield over time, where then you could maybe add a phone later, but who has a home line anymore? Like, let's be real. Right? So instead of that, they're now going to come and trust me. Well, what do you think I need for this? Well, I think we should get this television package based on your mother-in-law's needs. Oh yeah, you're totally right. So now I've increased sales in different areas because I'm connecting with the consumer on a different level, and they're trusting my opinions and will always trust my opinions. So when I go and try to upsell them on something else later, they're more open to doing that, as opposed to Mary Jo just being like, but I think that you need a Cantonese channel, like in a Hindu, like in a Hindu household. Like, they're like, what? Like, it's like that kind of thing. So I didn't understand why you couldn't just understand your customer on that level. I don't know if that. So when I finally decided, I was working for a wedding cinematography and photography company here in Vancouver, and they were a husband-wife duo. Honestly, one of the hardest working couples ever. Built it up. They had multiple businesses. This husband just liked to do photography and cinematography, like loved it, fell in love with it, and then they started this crazy empire, and it was huge. But the wife was pregnant, and they needed someone to fill her shoes. Well, when you're a small business owner, no one's gonna fill your shoes the way you need them to, because it's not their business, it's yours.
Yeah.
So I would be working from like 8:30 in the morning till like 11:30 at night, and then because she'd be up because maybe she was uncomfortable and couldn't sleep, I was getting like texts at like 4 or 5 a.m. and it was like it was too much, and I did that for a few months, and we ended up parting ways, and I left and went to Miami. I was like, I can't do this because I was in school, I was doing that job, and my parents had a place out in Port St. Lucie, or had a place out in Port St. Lucie. And so I went down there, and I'm like laying I'm laying on the beach being like, still working for them, mind you. I still have my laptop.
Yeah.
And being like, I fucking hate this. Sorry for it. I don't know if you're censorship, but I swear like a sailor. So
it's fine.
I was like, I hate this. I was like, I don't want to do this. So I remember calling up my friend Jeff, who owns Brick's Work, the real estate marketing firm, and being like, yo, I don't know what to do. I just hate this so much. And he's like, well, you do social media. Why don't you start your own business? And that's how it happened. Like literally that one, like I was laying with, like at my parents' like, club thingy. Do you want to call it country club? Yeah, I don't know. So we're laying there looking at the beach, like on the catamaran, like with a drink in my hand, being like, yeah, man. I was like, fuck the man. I'm gonna work for myself.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you weren't on the beach. I thought you were on the beach, but you were on a catamaran.
No. Sorry, maybe catamaran's wrong. What are those thingies called? Where they're like, one of those things that like you sit on them and you're on the beach.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you call it? It's not a.
Hammock?
No. It's like one of those like round beachy chair things. And like it's like you know how like they have them sometimes in like Miami, and you go and they're like shaded, and it's like little day beds, like little beach beds.
Oh yeah.
What are those called? What's the official word for that?
Cabanas? I feel like they're called cabanas or something.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's like this round egg chair, not a catamaran, because a catamaran's like a boat, a dinghy, right? Yeah, so like a dinghy.
It's two things floating with like netting in between them.
Oh yeah, no,
you
not
on
that.
A catamaran?
Just like sitting in Miami on a catamaran.
Because here's the thing, like people on catamarans, like they've normally got that fuck you money, so it's like, I was like.
I'm sitting there bossing it out. No, if I had it like that, I would have left a long time ago. But that's facts. But yeah, no. So I'm sitting on one of those beach day beds, not a catamaran, a beach day bed thingy. And like the sun is kind of setting. It's all like romantical, and I'm sitting there trying to contemplate my life. It was all like super dramatic and shit because like high key I am dramatic and shit.
And then the phone rang like. Bling.
No, like and I was like texting, and then I had that call, and I was like, I am gonna start my own business.
Yeah.
And so I worked with him, and he kind of gave me that leg in.
Yeah.
But I realized a year and a half into it that I was like, I don't even like social media because I found myself wanting to help people on such a deeper level. Because then
social media is not deep.
Mm-mm.
It's toxic.
It can be. It can be. You need to be very like.
Do you want to save the document untitled?
I do actually want to hear that. Whatever that was. Tell me about that untitled document. It sounds very like R. Kelly-esque, but go for it.
Ooh.
I mean, it's the untitled document. Come on, that's like his next album if he ever makes a comeback.
R. Kelly's never making a comeback. R. Kelly got burned. R. Kelly's never coming back. Oh, and if he does, we are foolish as a society.
Okay, but Trump though, that already says it. Like we don't know what could happen. He could be the next president. Could you imagine? If R. Kelly was the next president?
I'm stuck in the closet.
Right? Like
For president? No.
at least him and Trump got some similarities by the ground of the
Bruh.
situation. But like I'm just over here trying to be like, there's no tea. I don't know if we can edit that out at all, but like
Oh yeah. We're actually just gonna take a quick 2-minute recess because we need to reset the video. Wow! I don't even.
when you get to know me a little bit better, this is what happens.
I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to get my composure back. Okay.
It should be like teaching.
Okay.
But you're trying to get your composure while still reminiscing about the 5-minute blip.
Yeah, but like, just, look. It's hard.
Right?
It's hard being a professional and like talking nonsense online for people. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
like talking crap like this, like because here's the thing, right? I have to consciously steer the conversation
Yeah,
towards what exactly we want without necessarily getting caught up in all the juvenile antics.
I mean, is it juvenile though, or is it just like a play kid on our society as a whole?
Jesus Christ, why'd you have to get all philosophical on me?
I'm just saying, you want to steer it back to a professional way. I'm just helping you do that. Like,
no, yes.
But that's what it is though, right? Because we can't help, especially when you're in business and in marketing, you can't help but play on the world. You
exactly.
can't. You have to be. It's like almost like a comedian. You have to be in touch but out of touch.
Right.
With what's happening in the world, right?
That's fair.
You can't just stay in your own little bubbles anymore.
That's fair. So, beautiful segue. So since we're talking about what's going on in the world right now, given that you're in the business of business coaching, have you noticed a change in outlook with some of your clients after COVID?
Man, I've noticed even a change in myself. It's hard right now, and I feel it's not hard in terms of what you have to do, but it's hard in terms of your mental state whilst you have to do it. Because as someone who needs to market themselves, and someone who needs to coach themselves, I can't bring my internal shit to a coaching client, to a client. And if I'm not right, I can't be that sounding board for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know other coaches that are maybe more seasoned than I am. They can compartmentalize things, but for me, it's I've had to really sit myself down and coach myself in a mirror, what looks like, I'm sure, a lunatic, and be you need to do this. You need to figure out this goal, what it stemmed in. You need to figure out how you feel about the situation and identify those feelings as fast as possible so you can address them as fast as possible. You do not have time to sit here and wallow in your own self-pity. So get your shit together and let's go. It's game time. Right? But if you don't have that that's a really harsh communication with myself, but my communication with myself is it's hood. It's reckless. It's reckless. Yeah, it's reckless. My communication with myself is something that I would never recommend my clients to do, but it's what I know I need.
Fair enough.
Right? That tough love, that I love you, but get your shit together because you're wavering and it's showing. So
and
get
you're acting
together.
like a bean.
I know. I'm you're acting stupid. Figure your shit out. So it's just
That is wild. Yeah, because at least for myself, you're completely right because I work in corporate, right?
Yeah.
And it's become very clear that the way that we operate, as a team, has fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
And the communication style that a lot of our managers have adopted has been an adaptation to the current climate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so for an example, our managers don't get on us in as much because they're look, you're working from home, life happens, if your kids are busy or whatever, or if your kids are distracting and they need your attention, it's fine, just adjust your hours accordingly.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm yo.
But that's the good new though.
Yeah.
That's what I think that COVID's actually provided us such a unique opportunity to understand the fundamentals of what it is to be humans working.
What do you mean?
What's important? Right? Your kids are important.
Yeah.
Your health is important.
Yeah.
Adjusting and being, as long as you kind of get your shit done, is important.
Yeah.
This whole 9 to 5, coming in early, staying late, it's good, but it's not all that there is to working. When I tell, I have contractors from my company that come in. I don't do websites, I don't do graphics, I don't do automation techniques. I do that on an individual basis and how to get people automated, but if they decide to use programs for it, I don't do that.
Right.
I contract somebody to do it for me. Right? But it's in that. I tell my contractors, I don't care how you get it done, just get it done.
Yeah.
I don't care if you want to sit in Spain. I don't care if you want to sit on a catamaran. I don't care if you want to sit on a beach thingy. Like, just make sure your stuff is done by the day I tell you to do it, and we're good.
Fair enough.
Right? Like, I don't care what you want. Your life is your own.
Yeah.
You don't owe me your life. But if I'm gonna pay you, you owe me that due date.
Fair enough.
Right? So I feel like if more people adapt that, and I think that COVID's forcing people to adapt that mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think that COVID's actually provided us with such a unique opportunity to get down to what matters,
Right.
and to really inspire people and to motivate people to do things on their own merit. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I honestly think it's like a different way to think about things for sure, but yeah.
I mean, it's just fortunately and unfortunately, it's the way of the world, and we just have to like adapt to it as best as we can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, living in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you lived in Vancouver?
6 years now.
God damn.
I know, right? Longest place I've ever lived since I was like 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how has the city adopted you? Like, do you like it here? Are you like low key, like, bro, this motherfucker feels like Winnipeg again. Like, I want out. Like,
I mean, Vancouver is a city known for its like beauty and its serenity in some aspects. For me, I love Vancouver for that. I've met some really remarkable people. I've adapted and I had really good friendships here. And I love the people that I've met here, and now I've loved the lifestyle that I've built. However, I want something more. And I don't know if Vancouver has it to give. So, like, Vancouver, for the first 2 years in Vancouver, I was just like work all the time. I managed 4 restaurants at the same time. I was working at a nightclub and I was in school. And then I started my own business, worked at a nightclub, and then was in school. And then now I'm out of school and working at a nightclub, or working, well, not anymore because of COVID, but like having my own business and different things like that. So Vancouver's been good to me in the sense that like it's provided a different avenue for me to build something on that I didn't think I would have built maybe in Manitoba,
right.
Which was my business. I don't think I would have done that. I think I would have gone the cushy route, right? I would have gotten married at 27 and had a house and kids by now, because that's what Winnipeg does. But like, yeah, you get very young, you have a house and a dog and a picket fence. Yeah, man. Like, we're talking, when I say young, like 20s, mid-20s, early 20s. It's like that kind of situation. So being in a bigger city, I knew automatically that I wasn't meant for Winnipeg. So being in Vancouver, being in Calgary first and then Vancouver, I really came to appreciate the city for what it was, but I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there something specific about the city that sticks out to you, or is it just like
it's very
the general?
No, you know, like I think that Vancouver has so much potential, and like the people that I meet are really good people, but I think it's lackluster in terms of like cultural diversity, in terms of like you have like pockets of different cultures, but they don't mix. And that's something that like I'm not used to. Like I'm used to going to a Latin club and like dancing like kazomba and bachata, and there's like some like an Irish guy and like a German guy and a whatever guy, and there's like an African guy, and there's like an Asian guy, and we're all dancing, we're all vibing because it's a vibe. I feel like this city has things, but it's missing the vibe.
The city definitely segregates itself.
It does, and I'm not used to that. Like I'm used to having friends from all different cultural groups, and not having to like tell them how much I make or tell them what I do before it's a viable option for them to hang out with me.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, you didn't notice that?
That has happened to you here?
Oh my god! Has it not happened to you?
No.
Yeah,
Let's get
like
into it.
it's just like it's crazy. Like, you know, think about it this way: watch your interactions once you go work out, like once you leave the house again. It's gonna be like, hi, what's your name? What do you do? Even talk about dating, right?
Okay.
Are you single or are you not?
Single.
Okay, so are you on any dating apps?
No, God, no. It's disgusting.
Right, okay, that's fair. That's heavy judgment, but go for it. And
I have my
that's like I said. Yeah, I mean, so do I, but I'm still on it being like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm just that, like, I feel like the equivalent, me being on dating apps is the equivalent of me being at a house party in a corner being like, I shouldn't be here. Like, there's nothing about this that I want right
Let
now.
me tell you what happened to me when I was on a date.
So what happened was, okay,
So-
go ahead.
So like, I was just chilling, minding my own business. You know what I'm saying? So, this was like 5 years. Like, this was back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'm at the crib chilling, right? And and about like 2 or 3 of my homeboys there, and they're on Tinder. And this was back before you had to like pay for Tinder and shit, right? It's like,
You don't pay for Tinder now?
apparently you do. Like apparently you have to pay for swipes and shit. Apparently there's a limit to the number of swipes you have per day. Something goofy like that. I don't know. I'm not on the shit.
Okay, alright, okay.
So these 2 cats are on Tinder and they're telling me, "Oi, just download the thing, see what happens." Right?
Good team.
Right. So these men them 2 white boys. And that is going to become relevant.
I know exactly why it's relevant already. Please tell me one of their names was Chad. But okay, anyways,
But
keep going.
But it'll become very clear why it's relevant.
Okay.
So fucking it. So I say, alright, cool, whatever, because I finally gave in to the 2 weeks of fucking pressure. I'm like,
Yeah.
alright, cool. I download Tinder and I'm on it and I'm being like my usual self. I'm mad picky. I'm like, yeah. So like the first 2 days, no match.
Yeah.
Whatever. Because I wasn't really paying attention to it either. The 3rd day rolls around, my man's like, yo, any matches yet? And I'm like, no. It's like, why? It's like, I don't know. I'm not feeling like 80% of the women on here. Like, dude, you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm doing it wrong? It's like, dude, you swipe right on everything.
You play the odds.
And I'm like, dude, that sounds like gambling. I don't gamble. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's fine.
Yeah.
So he jacks my phone and these 2 white boys just swipe right for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how many profiles. At some point they just stopped reading shit. They just went,
Oh yeah.
Fast forward about 4 or 5 hours. Oh, match. Oh, match. Oh, match. So a bunch of them I didn't even bother initiating conversation. Like, I really can't be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
But then one of them, this was the exact conversation, and I have it etched in my mind because of how outlandish it was. She says hi. I go, hey, what's going on? Right? She's like, oh, nothing much. FYI, I've never been with a black dude before, and I
Love
want
that.
you to be my first.
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I look at the message. I put my phone down. I'm like, there's no way. I pick up my phone again. I'm like,
Yeah.
deleted it immediately. And I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, like,
This is flaming out garbage.
as much as people talk about fetishizing like Asian women and different things like that, we also get fetishized. Do you know how many like non-black basketball players want me for their street cred?
Street cred in Vancouver.
Like want me for like they're playing ball and they want that like baller cred.
Oh, they want
So
the cosign.
They want the cosign. They want that like I'll validate you. And then I'm like, I just. But going back to it, like that's the thing. Like Vancouver will test you in a way that you're like, do I have to validate myself for this one small interaction? Like, should I be telling you that I went to Sauber Business School? Should I be telling you that I own my own business? Should I like? It's almost like, and I experienced this in Calgary too, and maybe this is just a big city thing, but like I remember sitting in the Met. Have you been to Calgary?
No.
Okay, so there's this on 8th Avenue, which is like the business district. It's like all the oil and gas companies work for Calgary. They have 8th Avenue, and they have this restaurant called the Met, and it's great. They have good food, like good people, whatever else, and you all just kind of travel into. So when I was in oil and gas, I worked. I went down there for like after work drinks as one would do, and I would literally see men take their wedding rings off and put them in their pockets, and then they come and sit down thinking that you didn't know, because some people just don't care. I do, and they'd be like, "Hi, I work at this job at this position with this car. What's your name?" I'm like, "Well, what's your name? Like, who is you? Like, but that's how it'd be. And I find that Vancouver here, you have to validate what you do in order for people to see if you're worth talking to.
Really?
And I honestly, like, I try not to judge people in that manner. And a lot of people who are there don't do it. But when it comes to dating or when it comes to those kind of friendships, it's like it's networking first, and then deciding if you're a good human after. It's like, what can you provide for me first, and then what can you do after? And it's like I have such a problem with that because I'm like, you're never gonna see what I can do for you if that's your behavior first.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it's like. That's how Vancouver has kind of displayed itself to me. Now, granted, 6 years later, again, I have found some really amazing people here who are just like light up my life. But it took 6 years, and that was something that was really hard for me.
Jesus.
Because in every other country I've gone to, in any other city I've lived in, I've made instantaneous, lifelong friends like within the first week.
Yeah.
That I still talk to.
It shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. But here in Vancouver, I found that was really hard, and because of that, it was so lonely for someone who was so outgoing and.
Yeah. Do you think it was harder for you because you're a woman?
No, I mean I don't think so. Because okay, so fun fact about me: when I moved to a new city, I actually turned on Tinder.
Okay.
So that hear me out.
Okay.
So that, and I put in my profile, I'm new to the city. I'm not here to date. I'm definitely not here to fuck you. Like, I just want to understand the city. So if you want someone to kind of be a tourist with you, hit me up.
Yeah, red flag. Most dudes would be like, bro, that's fresh meat right there.
Right, and then they meet me and they're like, oh no, she's chill, because I set that very firm boundary from the get go.
Okay.
Like from the get go.
Okay.
So I think that's like, so that's how I get to know different cities.
I've never heard Tinder use that way before.
And not many people do.
That's probably the most wholesome way. And I know for a fact the words Tinder and wholesome do not belong in the same sentence. But that is probably the most wholesome way to use that app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like Bumble has like a friends feature, and Bumble has like a work feature too.
Excuse me, Mama.
Yeah, so Bumble, I mean, plug out to Bumble if you happen to listen to this. You need to hook your up because it's a free ad. But Bumble has a feature.
Bumble. Send the check.
Right. But Bumble has you can Bumble for friends,
Yeah.
or you can Bumble to network.
Yeah.
They want to make it an all-encompassing get-to-know-you app, and then you can also use it for dating.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bumble now has these features. So likely when I move to my next city, which will in all cases be Toronto, I will probably use that to make friends around the city and understand the city better.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So that's how Vancouver is. It's a beautiful city. Love it. There's some really awesome people here. It hasn't necessarily always been the friendliest to me, but it has provided me with the internal peace to do what I'm doing right now, and that's something I can't negate.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, given how segregated Vancouver has been for you, have you found it difficult to build out your client network?
Yes. Oh my lord. So there was this one incident where I was working with a company, and they had a lot of mainland clients.
Okay.
And that's where it became a cultural issue, where they wanted me to be more European in terms of my look, in order to be able to reach out to those clients.
To relate that.
Yeah, so I had to I think that when I work in the club, I wear green contacts, and just because I like them, because I know they look great. Trust me, they look fantastic. But I like it because it makes me look different. But I make more money. You have to think about sales psychology, right? I make more money when I look more exotic.
Okay.
Yeah, so I look more exotic, right?
That's just wild.
But
yeah.
sales psychology, that's just sales psychology 101. I'm not offended by it, I just know that's how it works. So if I want to get my money, I just do it. Gotta make my money. I'm not here to be no money, no problem. I'm just here. I'm just here to make money. So if I put in green contacts and my hair is straight, then it's people are oh my gosh, it's
What are you?
I know, what are you? Where'd you get your butt done? Squats and genetics, bitch. Where'd you get your boobs done? My mama. Which is false, because I'm definitely one of a kind. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I'm
you
just,
bugging for real.
I'm not though. It's actually true. It's true. People love exotic things. They want to be kind of in the norm, but dramatically in the norm. So it's sales psychology as a woman for me to make the most amount of sales. And this is fucked up, but it's true. If I want to make the most amount of sales, say in oil and gas and it's a boys club, I kind of almost have to play stupid till I don't. And it's dumb, but I have to make it seem like it's Brad's idea. And then I come up with the numbers and everyone's like, oh wait, that was actually her idea. And I'm like, yeah, Brad, of course it was my idea. But you have to play the games because right now, like, we want to change the system, that's fine. But Brad still runs the system. So if you want to make the money that you want to make, you work the system.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Which
hashtag hidden figures. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That's 100% what it is. You play the game.
Yeah, and which I completely co-sign, but there is a school of thought out there. Just to play devil's advocate.
Do it. Play me.
There is there is a school of thought out there that believes that the system should be completely dismantled.
Yeah, 100%.
And we as historically excluded groups should build our own systems.
I mean, I've had many conversations about this, and I'm working on a platform that does just that, but that doesn't exclude what's happening right now. Like, you still have to play within the system until you dismantle it.
Fair enough.
Right? Like, you can't just go complete anarchist and, like, where are you going to get your funding from? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to play within the system on a slightly elevated scale so that you're recognized as someone who's excluded from the status quo.
Yeah.
And then you make your move. Like, it's all strategic.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right? But there's nothing in this world more that I would like to see than have Black Wall Street come back hard.
Yeah.
Or to have like a group of individuals that buy up all of Harlem and, you know, gentrify it but for Black communities. Like, there's nothing more that I would like to see this, but for the time being,
we have to work with what we have.
we have to work with what we have and excel in what we have. It's 10 times, right?
Yeah.
It's the 10 times rule.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And for those of you who don't know what the 10 times rule is and you listen to this podcast, 10 times rule means you have to be 10 times better than your counterpart, than your Caucasian counterpart, for you to get half as much as they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Before we wrap, where can people find you? Where are you so
That's what we're gonna wrap on? Jesus.
I'm kidding.
They can find me. You can find me. I mean, I don't know if this is the best avenue, but you can find me on my socials. So emboldenmedia.co. That's my business one, or in emboldenmedia.co as my website. We talked about a broad amount of things here, and most of it is like more personalized to it. But yeah, you can find me on any of those things actually.
Wicked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in and sitting down with us. It's been insightful. Let's use the word insightful.
Yeah, insightful. Yeah.
All right. And for those of you listening at home or watching on YouTube, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Arreglo Radio. And as always, take it easy, have a good one, and be nice to one another, fam.
We are Arreglo Entertainment, and our podcast Arreglo Radio is a platform where we take a deeper dive into the lives and minds of young professionals in Vancouver. Through engaging and personable conversations with our guests, we gain insight into their professional expertise, ideologies, and really dissect what makes them tick. Our guests come from a wide spectrum of professions, from accountants to makeup artists, musicians to entrepreneurs. We aim to really understand and showcase what drives the next generation of business, social, and community leaders. We believe that providing a more relaxed atmosphere that feels like home, coupled with some light banter, presents the opportunity for better conversations that don't feel staged. Arreglo Entertainment is a group of former international students looking to fully understand Vancouver, its people, and culture. And coming from this perspective, we believe that we are uniquely capable of having these in-depth exploratory conversations.